Epic sages, your home for adventure. Crafting worlds where your story's the center. Gear and tools for the brave and the bold. Your journey begins as the tale unfolds.
Step inside where the legends begin. Maps, dice, and stories, the magic within. Adventure in mind, we're here by your side. At epic stages where heroes collide. Every campaign, every turn, every fight, we give you the tools, you shape the night. Epic stages is where you find satisfaction. With adventure in mind and your own passion. We control the board, you control the action. Epic stages where legends find traction. From online to in-store, we've got what you seek. Gear for your quest, world so unique. Your heroes rise, we light the way. Epic stages, your guide through the fray. No matter the path, no matter the game, your story is yours, we fuel the flame. Epic stages is where you find satisfaction. With adventure in mind and your own passion. We control the board, you control the action. Epic stages, where legends find traction. From your first roll to battles well fought, we give you the gear for the stories you sought. At epic stages, the tools are designed with passion and care and adventure in mind. Your world, your rules, your epic tale. With epic stages, you will never fail. Epic stages is where you find satisfaction. With adventure in mind and your own passion. We control the board, you control the action. Epic stages, where legends find traction. We light the way, you shape the venture. Epic stages, your home for adventure. From online to in-store, we've got what you seek. Gear for your quest, world so unique. Your heroes rise, we light the way. Epic stages, your guide through the fray. No matter the path, no matter the game, your story is yours, we fuel the flame. Epic stages is where you find satisfaction. With adventure in mind and your own passion. We control the board, you control the action. Epic stages, where legends find traction. We light the way, you shape the venture. Epic stages, your home for adventure.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to tonight's episode 5-10. Also, prep versus no prep. How to find your style is just GM. We are joined by three wonderful guests, two of them being our star guests, and one of them being a community member that you might have seen in other videos. But we're going to start with ladies first for introductions here. So, Mariam, if you would please so kindly introduce yourself and tell people what you do, where to find you, and all that fun stuff. Let her rip.
Hello, hiya. I'm Mariam. I own Blessings Be Bazaar. We do herbal infusions, and for the most part, I am a number, I guess, witch. I care about numbers. I'll read your numbers, and in general, entrepreneur of lots of sorts. So, hello, hi.
Hello, hi. Oh, yeah. And where can people find you? What's good
Oh,
links, good
yes.
places, all that fun stuff?
In this realm, you can find me in this dimension. I'm in Colorado Springs. So if y'all are ever in Colorado, y'all can come visit. We've got a cool spot, give you some nice tea and, hang out vibe.
Hang out vibe. Now, just as a side note, I do get to the pleasure of saying that you're one of our few guests that knows what the heck we're talking about when we talk about slaying goblins with +2 longswords. So, how long have you been playing TTRPGs and stuff?
Like my whole life, pretty much. As soon as I started out with Choose Your Own Adventure books, I have a D20 tattooed on me. So it is my world. I watched my parents LARPing, and then I got into the world.
Perfect. You'll fit right in then. I'm very excited to have you here. Um, Jumping down to the bottom there, Dr. Jeff. Same to you. Who are you? What do you do? Where can people find you?
Okay, people can find me in my office. I am I am Dr. Jeff, and my company is Dr. Get in Focus. I've had this condition called, which most people call attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I call it accelerated dynamic hyperdrive. Because I think it's not a deficit, it's not a disorder. What it actually is, and it's becoming a hackneyed term, but I use it anyways, a superpower that I can use to control the world. And what I like to do is I like to teach other peoples and others, I coach others on how to take, get through that wall of distractions and lack of focus and stuff and show them how to leverage that so they can utilize the increased creativity and that sort of stuff, all the good parts of it. And my website is www.drgetinfocus.com.
All right, easy to remember. I like that.
Yes, and I also have a Substack channel, which I think is drgetinfocus.substack.com.
Nice.
And I'm in San Jose, California.
Enjoying the good weather currently. That is what you mean.
Yes, 95 degrees out today, sunny, warm. And, yeah, and by the way, I also do stand-up comedy too. So
Again, you'll fit right in. We're a bunch of jokers here. And jumping up to our community member, Jared. Some of you will recognize Jared from some of our other projects, like our Power Rangers mostly. He's also soon to be joining us on our D&D silliness. But I'll let him talk.
Oh, okay. Talking. Yeah, that's the thing I do. Hi, I'm Jared. I am a content creator online. I run Couch Quest Gaming on both YouTube and now Twitch. We started streaming this week. I picked a really bad week to start streaming because I'm recovering from a cold. So my first stream was an unmitigated disaster with me hacking and coughing like I smoke a pack a day. But anyway, you can find me on Twitch and YouTube under Couch Quest Gaming, and you can find me over on Facebook as well as X under Couch Quester, though I think X specifically made me name it Couch Quester _J. I didn't figure it'd be a name that would be taken. As far as my experience with subject matter, I have been playing TTRPGs for over 20 years. I am an avid enthusiast. I'm even wearing a Roll for Sandwich shirt today.
Great TikTok, by the way. It's a good one. I like it. Side note. Main note. Let's get into tonight's topic, which is no prep versus prep for your style of stuff and things, right? So generally, we like to ask our guest, when I say this, the title, which is which is pre-plan, if I could say the title right, pre-plan versus no prep. What is the first thing that comes to your mind when I say those words? We're going to start down at Dr. Jeff.
Just showing up someplace and find that, I wasn't prepared for this. I should have prepared. And then going over and kicking butt and taking names into things, even without being prepared.
Okay, that's a good visual for the start. I like that. Miriam, what about you?
I imagine line by line and not moving to the next thing until I finish the first thing. And then I like to consolidate the endings all at once.
Interesting. Okay. So you're a prep heavy person. I like that. Jared, what about you? When I say the words pre-plan versus no prep, what's the first image that kind of pops into your head?
My own tumultuous relationship with my anxiety. Honestly, I've struggled for years not to overthink everything, but then also struggling not to just shut down and not think about anything at all. So it's all about finding balance.
Interesting. Okay. Younger, what about you?
In the gaming setting, there's definitely, I've had the experience of being the DM who wants to have this incredible world that's well thought out and 10,000 characters and all of their stat blocks ready to pull at a slide card notice. And yet somehow the players will still find a way to make you go on something completely sidetracked that you weren't prepared for anyways, which leads to the development of improv, right? And just having to figure it out as you go. Generally, I like to just keep it somewhere in the middle where it's like, hey, I have a generalized idea of what the plan's going to be, but I can adapt to change as necessary, you know?
Nice. So visually, when I think personally on the pre-plan versus no prep, right, is a vision of me and my wife, because we are both those two things in tandem. She is the pre-prep, pre-plan, get everything squared away and go, and I'm the person that shows up to a new location without a change of clothes and just figures things out as we go along. Because that is just how I operate 99% of the time. Flow like water, get to your destination. But those are the visuals. When we talk about those things, those are two different types of people that I visualize when those things pop up in my head. Right, it's me and my wife, because I feel like they are a fantastic example of both styles. But jumping into more personal stuff for you guys, when you are, we'll start with Miriam here. When you're dealing with your bizarre people, right, and you're getting them ready for what needs to happen and prepping them and whatnot, or not prepping them, what kind of checklists and things do you make sure that you give new bizarre goers that are like running booths and things when they're at your events?
A lot of times I kind of just like I'm very much a vibey person. So I'm like, hey, if you're not feeling good, I kind of run through the checklist of tell me if you're comfortable. That's the things that I care about most is like prepping like the comfort level of them. And then I'm like, as people come in and do stuff, we'll see whoever comes in, what customers come in, we'll see who's going to be like, sometimes people are coming in like literally spewing hate speech. And then sometimes it's a great time. So it's kind of prepping for both. And then, yeah, essentially I will make an aquifer for the flow.
Interesting. Okay, an aquifer for the flow. That's an. Are you using that metaphorically or literally in this scenario for you?
Sometimes we need water. But so far I haven't built. These hands are only for small herbal infusions.
That's fair. All right.
Nice. Drink, yes, drink currently.
Okay, so you very much fall with for others. It doesn't sound like yourself is more like let them plan and figure things out. That's not a your responsibility thing. Okay, cool. I'll come back to that later because that's important. Jumping down to Dr. Jeff. Dr. Jeff, when you're working with your clients, and you were guiding them, as they are, like a lot of us, a little scatterbrained at times, especially if they deal with the ADHD and whatnot. How do you fit them into one of those two camps? How do you determine that someone needs to go in one camp or the other? Or do you kind of just avoid those camps entirely and do something different?
It's something, everybody is different. Like, nobody knew that year, right? And so, and there's this thing called learning styles. Some people learn visually, some people learn audioly, some people learn by reading, some by action, and I think there's more, but
We'll
I'm
stick with
not
those three. I
prepared.
got you. Those are the basics.
Okay, and it's just like what I have to do is determine what their learning style is, and then I can go over for the task at hand, know what category or how to get them prepared for what to do, or if they need to go on and ad lib it. Sometimes I prepare heavily. Sometimes I just go in and ad lib something, and it's all situational and has to do with learning styles.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's very very tailored. Good to know. Jumping up to Jared. Jared, when you're prepping, right? You had already talked about it being an anxiety of not trying to overplan things or making sure that there's too much going on. How often instead do you say we're just going to let things happen?
That's actually kind of interesting. Speaking specifically to like tabletop gaming and all that, I've actually adopted kind of a modular style with running a game. I will have sets and numbers and all that just handy, but with no set purpose or really set in stone purpose. I'll just have them ready,
Mm-hmm.
and then the players basically just become like duck hunt. I just throw the things at them as they're doing things. They're like, oh, they're doing this. Hey, I could throw this at them right now.
Okay,
So
that's a fair style
kind of
for sure.
that's the happy medium I've tried to accomplish with, because I used to over repair. Like Younger was saying, you want to sit there and make all these stats, all these worlds, all these things, because you have all these ideas in your head, but there's a very narrow view of what your players are going to experience out of all of that, because they have their own agency. So
It do
I
be a
try my
problem.
best to just accommodate that.
Good, good. I'll kind of come back to that, but I feel like Younger's got a little bit to touch on that because this is something I know he struggles with quite frequently as well. Because I am constantly yelling at him cut it down, not so much, relax.
Every day. It just whips me.
Just yes, mean,
Do better.
right? But anyway, jumping over younger, kind of when you're doing your prep, I'm going to ask you kind of the same question. How often, because you are much more the I prep and then go kind of DM style. How often do you say just F it, we'll do it live? How often do you have that feeling? There's an old reference for y'all. I hope some of you get it.
So I generally like you said, have an idea prepped, and it's like, okay, so we go and we hit all these things. But sometimes players are just really creative. They go down the train a good ways before they decide to jump off. And so it's like I might be, let's just say, 75%, 50% through my prep work, and then they're like, we're gonna do this other thing, right? So it's like, oh, we're gonna stay on the railroad until they're bored and they want to do something else. Um, and then it's literally that easy. It happened in the recent campaign setting. I was like, oh, you guys, find a soul cage essentially, with a bunch of creatures in it. There's a chance that you get a certain type of creature soul put into this robot, right? Roll D100, rolls an ot 0. It's like, okay, you get the best thing. It's got to be a hero of some kind, right? Boom, off top of the dome. Hercules. It's Hercules soul. You've now powered a robot with Hercules soul. And that now brought a whole new third element from out of left field, that the players are like, oh God, that's changing the course of the campaign setting. What are going to be the repercussions when you made the robot that housed Hercules' soul turn into a bomb, right? And
That's
then,
good.
so you might have some repercussions. He was one of Zeus's favorites, etc. Um, you know,
Favorite.
so let's
For,
move
for,
forward with it. Fucking
for,
ball.
for the record, we did blow him up. It was the right option.
He's
Um,
just a demigod. It's not that
it's
big of
fine.
a deal.
We asked him nicely, and he said, "Yeah, I can do that for you." 100% how it
Aw,
happened. I'm not even a joke. It wasn't a fight. It was like, "Yeah, I can do that. Please,
I'd love
quickly."
to.
Are
Only
you
in
sure you
dungeon.
want to blow me up? Yeah.
But
Only in Dungeons and Dragons could the manic fever dream of a sentence, "We put Hercules' soul into a robot and then turned him into a bomb," make any kind of sense.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yes.
It's my pleasure.
hashtag go check out Younger's campaign. So
I had an idea, and it was like, oh, here's a generalized idea, and then it was just like, oh, the dice speak for themselves. Idea off the top of the head. I could have came up with any hero, but that was the one that came to the forefront, and so that's who I used.
That's my dog's name.
Hercules.
I'm sorry
Yeah.
that I killed your dog.
He would totally do it. He would be so pumped. He's like, yeah, turn me into a bomb. He's so into it.
Hercules.
Yes.
That's too funny. So jumping down to Dr. Jeff here. When we are going through this, finding the right style for people, right? What is your key indicator for someone who is more so into the visual learning style? How do you kind of determine which fits better? Is there any like key flags that you're like, this 100% this guy learns from listening, or 100% they read better, or what is there anything like that that you like kind of key in on when you're
What
finding the right approach?
what they yeah, what they do for fun, how they like can best do something like their readers, chances are their style is reading. If like if they're playing if they're gamers and they're playing games that require a lot of visual stuff, they're visual learners. Listen to music and a lot of audiobooks, they're probably audio learners. Even though I'm an action learner myself, and I listen to a lot of audiobooks, but I walk away with, what's that? So just like this, I gotta like do stuff to get it going. And it's also a matter of testing around too. I may not get it right the first time, but let's try this. And it's also a matter of you try all different styles, like especially if you're doing a group, you can't tell if I'm talking to a group whether someone's audio, action, visual. visual, so I combine the stuff. Like, okay, now we're going to do an exercise. Do this to get the action alerters. And let's watch a video. And oh, read this PDF here. Just test and try and cover all of them with different things.
Okay, I mean, so to take that from a GM standpoint, right, and kind of distill that and how we can use it, like that's a really great way to find your own group dynamics, right, when you're telling your stories. Because again, some people just don't get the audio. Your barbarian characters that are just there to bonk things and roll dice and get big numbers, they probably don't care about the lore as much, right? They don't want to see a cool map that you drew, nothing like that, right? But there are other people at the table that are gonna love those things, right? So kind of doing your simple litmus tests in your beginning sessions to kind of fit where your group members fall into is going to help you succeed in figuring out your personal style that you'll need to adjust to, right? Because the downside of being the DM is you have to cater to everyone else's whims. Now you get to tell your own story, you get to do your own thing, but if you're going to be the DM, your job is to be the one that makes things fun, right? As much as fun as it is to roll dice and get big numbers and hit things, like you got to know what you're hitting, and whatnot, and you have to direct things that it makes sense because not everyone is a big bonkum kind of player, right? Some people just like to talk things out, right? You always hear the joke, D&D is just a great excuse to flirt with your friends. Some people, that's the 100% the reason you're there for, right? You're just there to flirt and call it good and move on, right? And that's okay. It's good for people. So, talking about flirting with your homies, Younger, jumping over to your question. When we are jumping into the like prep work, right? Where would you say is generally for a DM too much time spent on prep work?
Okay, so if you're just being like, I'm gonna run this next session, I think it kind of matters how long your sessions are going to be.
Okay,
If
that's
you're
fair.
going to be running a session for like, let's just say 4 hours or so, you probably shouldn't be doing any more than an hour of prep.
Okay. So easy
Right?
conversion is a quarter amount of time you plan to play is how long you should prep for?
Yeah, or less. It's some things. It's like, hey, I have a book. The book has this entire dungeon laid out, right? So since I have all these maps that are attached to this dungeon, I can just improv by looking at the map and coming up with some bullshit as I pull it out,
Okay, that's
right?
fair.
That can make your whole thing a lot smaller. You're just like, hey, I'm going to make it this theme, right? Part of your hour prep work is I'm gonna talk. It's gonna be this type of facility or dungeon or temple. It's regards to this god. It's gonna have this Greek-esque feel to it, or it's gonna have this Egyptian type stuff, sci-fi. You just highlight something. You make an outline essentially. You make an outline. You're like, these are the points I want to hit, right? And then you're like, what are some monsters that go with it? Okay, what are some positive just encounters that you can have that aren't necessarily Stabby McStabberson, right?
Those are the
You
best
flake
kind
some of
though.
that in there, get some social interaction, and just roll with it. See where the characters are going to do some crazy stuff, and you're going to end up doing something you didn't believe you were going to do anyway. So you might as well enjoy it yourself.
That's fair. Miriam, jumping over to you and your stuff. When you are, because it sounds like you prep heavily for stuff and things. Where is your line at? You know what I mean? As you are as a heavy prepper, what is too much for you? When do you recognize it's too much, or do you not and just go until you think you're ready?
Oh gosh, too much. There's such a so it will be it just depends on how much I give a fuck. Sorry,
Okay.
pardon me.
No, no, no. Cursing's fine here.
Okay, cool. So if it's something that needs to be executed by a certain point, like so with my business, it has to be line by line. But
Okay.
if I'm like gonna hanging out with friends and like doing a campaign, it'll be a little bit more free flowing. But when it comes to prep, if I'm gonna be prepping, I mean, literally line by line. Take a pencil and color it in, and each line needs to be taken care of to make sure we have a full opaque graphite page.
Okay. Interesting.
That
So
doesn't
you
make me sound neurotic.
no, just a little bit, but that's okay.
just,
and
just a smidge, but it's beautiful, right? It's
You
good.
know what? I bet I would be able to understand any of your campaigns or things that you are running because I can look through your lines and go, yes, 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 okay, I can do all those things, which makes
I
stuff
can jump to
really
any line at any
exactly
point.
right. So there is positive benefits to doing that. So we'll kind of get to the pros and cons of both of these styles in a little bit. But
For sure.
that is a very good one that you can hand your list of, hey, I'm not feeling good, take over, and they can go, haha, line item 37, good to go.
Yep. That's
Uh,
exactly what I'm like. I tend to not show up. I'm a little flaky with that stuff. I'm like, oh, the energy's just off today. The full moon happened. And so, like, y'all can take over this, right?
I want you to note Younger's reaction because he has the exact same thing but does not express that. Uh,
Yeah.
jumping over to
I'm used
Jared.
to it.
Jared, you also sound like a heavy prep DM. Do you have a kind of stylized thing where you're like, this enough is enough. I'm stopping it here, and or do you just kind of like go until you feel it's done?
Probably closer to that last one, but
Okay,
I've tried to cater to like because just like there's no not every individual is the same. No group is going to be the same either.
it's true.
Each one is going to be a unique dynamic of people and personalities coming together. So you kind of have to cater your style to accommodate these people. Because if you have like two visual learners, an audio learner, and all these different people who process all these different pieces of information, you have to make sure all that information is available for them to process. So you have to balance for how much time do I want to spend on the actual game, and then how much of it is going to be spent converting it so that these players are going to get the most out of it. So again, I have to play it by ear because some friends of mine, they have to sit there and they have like they work for a living. They don't have time to remember all the rules in their head. So they will ask every session, how does this work? Even though they've playing this character for 15 levels. And it's like, and I'll just be like, it works like this. Meanwhile, there's other people who have an encyclopedic knowledge of the rules and like a lightning calculator in their brain. And I usually use them as just like, I don't feel like mathing. What is this? Okay.
I feel like mathing. That's a statement
Helps
I've
keep them
definitely used more
engaged
than once.
too.
Yeah. Ever just throw out a random number? All right, you took 72 points of damage. He only
Oh, yeah.
rolled 3d2s. What the heck?
That is the dungeon master's prerogative. I just have random numbers I pull from the ether, from the deep cosmos of probability that just enter my brain. I'm like, it's this number. We're moving on.
We're moving on. That sometimes you just gotta hit them with the old wait. That don't make sense to make sure they're paying attention, right?
The
It's also the
DMG
DM's.
has average damages for the monsters, by the way. You can just pull some of those out.
Also, it's the DM. It is the
Who
DM's
reads the
prerogative.
book?
The only player at the DM is the only one at the table that is allowed to disagree with their dice.
Really?
So we're gonna push forward just a little bit here. So jumping into the pros and cons, right, of both of these styles, right? So we're gonna again start with Dr. Jeff here. Um, when you are dealing with your clients, do you have a better success rate on either one of these styles that are kind of like, yes, this works better because XYZ? I know everything is individualized to the person, right? But do you find that one or the other ways helps more one way comparatively to the other?
I find getting the balance. It's just like
Okay.
using using a reference from my comedy stuff, right?
Mm-hmm,
One time I sat there and I was like all the night before, like 5 hours going over preparing jokes, just getting over doing a great thing. Yeah, great thing, great act. Thought it was great. Next morning I wake up and they elected a new pope from Chicago. So all that I get on stage there, right? And I would say, hey, how about this? A new pope from Chicago. I wonder how many of the cardinals who voted for him are dead. We're dead, right? I go, first papal degree, no pineapple on Chicago deep dish pizza. And just started going off. So what I like find is what I like to do in that stuff is just like do the preparation to the point where I know what to do. And it's like that in different scenarios. If a client does this, I could do this, and just have everything up so I can handle every eventuality. Outside of that, I don't think any more preparation has been helpful for me. Except maybe to get rid of the heebie-jeebies before I'm going to work with a new client or something. Okay, I got it all taken care of.
You know, as a DM, I do find that to be the truth, right? When it's something that you have no idea what you're talking about, prep is way more important than improv. So like for starting DMs, it's a great thing to have those prepped or pre-planned modules or stuff like that that you can kind of just like overanalyze and worry about. For experienced DMs, that's kind of one of those marks where you can just be like, "Hey, look, we're changing things as we go along." Right? That's generally a sign of a
Yeah,
relatively good DM, as they are able to jump off the rails and just have fun with things. Um, but on that note, right, there is some major positives and negatives to both of these styles, right? So, I like to
mhm.
start with the negatives so we can get into the positives. So with the negative side of things, Jared, uh, when you are doing the no the prep style, what is one of those things that like every time you do it, you're just like, this is the worst part about it? What is the worst bit about the heavy prep style?
The sheer amount of work you are making for yourself. It is mental strain and it causes burnout so fast.
100%, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Miriam, you look like you agree. Do you have anything to kind of add on to that?
Yeah, I do agree a lot. So, like us with my prepping, I only allow myself to prep 1 day out of every 9 days.
Oh,
And then
okay.
I have to follow that path that I planned 9 days ago. If shit goes wrong, then it goes wrong and I go south or but for the most part, there's like a follow through point, like a middle ground. Yeah.
Okay, I got
Just
I
come
got to
back to
I got to
center.
ask, since you're our number witch over here, why
hmm
9?
hmm 9 is where you have a base 10 system, 0 through 9.
Hmm.
So those are just our numbers that exist. Those are the essences that I go based off of. 1 is the planning number, 9 is the endings number, and everything in between is like the seed coming from seed to a whole plant and then dying and planting more seeds.
Interesting. Okay, a cool way to look at that. Now just a follow up question. What about 0?
0 is everything and nothing.
Okay, all right. I
Yeah,
knew
it's
that. I
it's
saw that
0 is a
coming.
portal.
All
Yeah,
right.
just walk through the portal. It's a portal. Yeah, it's pretty lame.
I,
Everybody knows the truth about the numbers, actually. You'll see.
all right. Cool.
Just
Cool.
don't
Cool.
divide by 0.
Right, because
Just
then you get
don't. The
nothing.
world will end.
So, jumping back down to Dr. Jeff, right? Same question to you, right? Do you have any major additions to the negative parts of the pre planning style?
Big thing for me on the pre-planning style as a big negative is I find it very boring.
Oh, okay.
Just sit there, yeah, boring. Just sit there and go, I got to do this, and yeah, just the boredom involved. That's what I have to say. That's the biggest negative.
Okay, I feel that again. You talking right at me. Younger. What about you?
Okay,
Negative of
so in the
planning.
event that somebody over plans, um, I believe it's the like you kind of put yourself in an expectation mode where you're like, oh yeah, I have all this prep work. You have this imaginary expectation that you're setting for your players or whatever, or whoever you're working with, and then assuredly it will not fall into that template. Right. And if you were like really stoked about this thing because you're imagining, oh, it should be just like the Lord of the Rings book, and I have this wonderful quest. The players ruined it. Right. You can get upset if you put so much time and effort into this monotonous task and then it didn't get realized and da 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 da. That's the only downside for the prep work, right? Whereas, did you ask about non-prep work or just
Not
prep?
yet. That's the next question.
Okay, that I'm done.
Okay.
I believe what he described was the Boblin the Goblin paradox.
Hey, don't we love Boblin? Be
Say it
nice.
again.
Um, but I mean that's a really good point, right? Because you can keep people on that pre-planned track, right? If you want to keep to your prepped sessions, you're allowed to, right? DMs can tell the stories they need to tell. The downside to that, right, that kind of falls in that negative category, if you become inflexible with how you tell your stories, you hurt your players' chance at having fun. Now, will they still probably have fun slaying the dragon and rescuing the princess instead of going about it by blowing up the entire castle? Probably. They'll probably still have fun. They'll still get to have roll dice, but you take away their agency and what they get to do, right? And to kind of solve for this, right? If you are really much, I need to stick on this plan. It's day 7 of my day 9. I need to finish this thing out. Um, the easiest thing that I found for it, right, is giving some kind of positive objective, right? You want the people you are leading to get to the location of their own volition, right? So as a DM, if your style is prep and make sure they want to stick to prep, you have to give them a reason to do so. Bringing up Boblin the Goblin, that is a great way to bring about characters into the making them be the objective, right? You bring Boblin and the Goblin on day 3 of our day 9 planning and be like, hey, look, Boblin here has a family and you have to save the family, but you can't save the family without saving the princess from the dragon. There's an order to it, right? And they want to do save Boblin's family. They could care less about the princess. She's just an objective on the way, right? But you, as the storyteller, that is your objective because you need to get to that point, right? So having little things like that, even in the business side of things, right? If you need that motivation to stick on plan 1 through 9, and are jumping through things, right? Sometimes you just got to remember like the I want to go to the movies on Thursday, but I can't go to the movies on Thursday unless everything is prepped for the bazaar this weekend, right? You got to give yourself a little carrot every once in a while, even if you're the person who is the one that needs to get to a spot, right? Um, it doesn't have to be big, Doesn't always have to be uh, a buffet of treats. It could just be little snack somewhere. You know what I mean? So before I get on too rambly on food, because fat boy over here. Uh, sorry. Jumping into the negatives of our opposite side, the no prep, right? So this is my domain. I know a lot of negatives, but I'm gonna let you guys talk about it first before I yibber yabber about it. This time we're gonna start with Miriam. Miriam, what is the biggest negative for you when you do the no prep style of something? As you said at the beginning, you kind of let other people do the no prep style, but what about when you do it yourself?
I will, as the youngins say, crash out. Um, I like routine. And if I like to get some plans, I pretty much know the plans won't always go according to, but as long as I can do my part, I won't have a panic attack. But yeah, emotions.
Okay, leads to crash outs. That's a new one, but I understand. Dr. Jeff, what about you? What are some of the negatives of doing the no plan style thing?
Being caught and not in a good way surprised. Someone asks you a question, you have no idea what the answer is. You're going to be, oh, yeah, 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 good question. Oh, you didn't catch that? Fine, I'll repeat it. And yeah, some jokes go over well, some don't. Oh, well.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
yeah, but just being caught that way, being caught with your pants down. That's, if you do no prep, that can happen a lot.
I can. Yes, 100%. I mean, there's a solution to that, and we'll talk to that in a little bit. Jared, what about you? When you say we're throwing caution to the wind and we're just doing a thing, how do things go wrong? How does that
Well,
become a negative space for you? Or what do you
well,
fear
I believe
about
the
it
good.
if you don't go there?
Well, I believe the good doctor covered a lot of good points on that. The only part I would add to it would be if you rely too much on a no preparation style, it can make your players feel, again, specifically in the context of D&D, it can make your players feel undervalued. They feel like, well, they're not putting in any effort, then why should I?
Mm.
You know? And that this can be applied to not just tabletop games. Like if you're a teacher and you go in with no lesson plan, like even if you're the best improv teacher and you're good at reaching your students, if you have nothing ready to teach them, they're just a bunch of kids sitting in a classroom. So
It's a great way to look at it.
yeah, that's the best way. It's like you're walking into a gunfight, but you forgot to load the gun.
Interesting. All right. That's a cool way to look at it. Walk into a gunfight not having your gun loaded. That's why you always have extra mags, man. Younger, you sounded excited earlier about talking about the negatives of no prep, so fire away, friend.
Okay, the negatives of no prep is just the getting hit with it's no longer just adjusting fire. It's literally like Dr. Jeff said, like caught with your pants down. It's like, shit, you might have to take a moment, longer than you would want to, right? If you're on something that's like this needs to happen in a timely manner, you having 5 to 10 minutes to figure out what to do might not be a way to solve your problem effectively, right? You could lose customers. You could lose interest, if you're spending too much time being like, oh, I didn't prep anything, but I'm going to go search through the book real quick, and spend 10 minutes searching for a monster to throw at your players or whatever to fit the story thus far, etc. Right? Um, is the best thing I can say. On a
Okay.
negative side note, I have a positive note.
We'll get to it. Good. I'm glad you're excited for positive stuff. So we just did the negatives. We're gonna jump into the positive after I ramble for a second here. But yeah, you guys nailed the nail here. And definitely getting caught with your pants down, right, and getting just blown out of the water by whatever you weren't expecting, right? And this also applies to our businessy stuff, right? When you are just kind of like, let's see if this works, we'll go with it, kind of step forward, step by step. Sometimes things change on you. Great example recently, tariff stuff. You know what I mean? How many businesses did that catch out of the blue because 90% of their stuff comes from a different country? Like, they goofed a lot of people up, right? And if you weren't ready or didn't have other plans, that could have got you good, right? From a TTRPG perspective, it's kind of the same thing, the OGL craziness that happened a couple years ago in D&D, right? If that had went sour, that could have changed the entire landscape of what was going on at the time, right? Would have totally blown up all the fan loving content and all the stuff that Wizards had built over the last 40, 50 years now. Um, Instantaneously, right? They would have burnt it all to the ground and they would have had their little castle, but I don't think they'd be standing on much of a treasure pile afterwards. You know what I mean? Um, and there would be a totally different leader in the course of TTRPG stuff. Now, luckily, they changed their mind and we got to keep things relatively normal. Things changed a little bit, but not too much. Um, but those things can definitely happen if you're just kind of like making decisions and pulling things out of your ass. Happens. So, jumping into the positive side of things, we're gonna since Younger sounded excited about the no prep style things, we're gonna start with him. What are some positives of the no prep style there, Younger?
You can rely upon your prior experiences.
Okay.
So like, even if you like, for instance, if you had done something, 6 years ago, you might have already done the quote unquote prep work, right? Or you might just be able to pull it off the top of your dome, be like, oh shit, I remember how to do that. Like, I remember the random thing that my dad showed me about a fence one time. And then I was like, yeah, just go to the store and grab that piece, and then we're gonna do this to the gate to keep it standing up.
I want you all to know
Was
Younger is
not
talking about a fence at my house currently that we did today.
was not a prepared thing. It was just like, oh, there's a fence being built. Okay. Ended up going to the store, randomly bought it, and then I was like, okay, I kind of sort of remember how to do this. Let's figure it out. Um, Good news. Now there's something that kind of resembles the thing of which was in my head. It wasn't done the exact same way. No, I had to improvise. Did I watch a YouTube video? Also no. Did I have all the tools? Also no. It could have went a little smoother, but it's done.
It looks good. Don't on a positive note. It looks good. Okay, jumping over to Jared really quick. Jared, positive of the no prep. Since this is kind of the antithesis to how you like to do things, is there any positives to doing it this way?
Absolute, unmitigated creative freedom. And if you have the right group, it's like when you have a good improv or comedy troupe and you're just feeding off of each other's energy constantly, it becomes super dynamic and engaging and a lot of fun. And speaking of like the epitome of what I feel is the no prep style, uh, I guess you call it not even really a properly published game. It was an idea posted on, I want to say, Tumblr years
That's
ago.
that's
Someone invented a
old. Got it.
someone invented a game called I Roll to See If I Have Shoes On. And the idea is you start with only one die and someone is acting as the narrator. Every character has one die. And they roll that die to determine if they're successful at anything. Based on an arbitrary number, the guy running the game decides. And if you roll a 6, you're really, really good at whatever you were trying to roll at. So you get a specific new unlocked skill that you can now roll 2 dice on that. So, case in point, its namesake, the first session they were running with this, the guy's background was, well, I'm the son of a shoemaker. He's like, all right, well, what kind of shoes do you have? He's like, I don't know. Should I roll to see if I have shoes on? And the guy running the game says, yeah, do it. So he criticals on the die. He rolls maximum amount. He goes, I have the best shoes. I have +1 pointy shoes of kicking. And the shoes continue to evolve as the game went on. Every time he criticaled using anything with those shoes, it would get more and more dice, and the names of these shoes would get longer and longer and longer. So that is the best benefit for a no prep style, is you are completely unrestricted as far as any wacky or crazy idea you have, and it can be amazing.
I like that descriptor 100%. Unmitigated freedoms. Miriam, what about you? You know what I mean? When you're letting people be free and flowy and hit their energies at the right spots, what are the other positives to letting people do it like that?
It takes a lot less stress off of me. Like the prepping is nice, so then I don't have future stress, but then I don't have to stress about what's gonna happen. I'm just like, they're just gonna do whatever. In the meantime, I'm gonna kick back, and whenever that time comes, it comes. And it's
Okay.
nice when I can get in there.
Okay. When you can do that, it's great. I feel that. All right.
Yeah,
All right.
feels good.
Hey, any less stress is good. Dr. Jeff, jumping down to you. What can you give us some positives on the no prep style running with it? So this seems to be your wheelhouse too.
Yeah, it's just I would agree with one thing is agree with Jared, just the unfettered creativity. That's one thing when he said it great the way he said it. Another thing is too is you're more I find with the no prep area, I am with the other people involved more than I am like if I did prepare, because then I'm just stuck in my head with the preparing, trying to remember what to do and that stuff instead of just being in the moment with my friends and with my friends and with my clients. You just and I can pivot easier, just be with the flow.
Be with the flow. That's one of my favorite terms when it comes to the no prep style of things, right? Is you kind of just go in there and you should always have bullet points, right? Especially from a DM standpoint. Even if you are a no prep DM, you need to have bullet points, right? You have to know kind of where you're at, what you're doing. That's what notes from last week are for, yada yada, right? You have to have some kind of goal, you have to have some kind of style in there somewhere. It can be loosely written on a paper, you look at there's a meme forever ago I saw that was oh, I've drawn a great map, and it literally has like 3 little points on it. One of them is like hot goblins ? If that is your notes, then you're good to go. You know what I mean? You got it. You run with the bobbling the goblins. You know what I mean, and go from there. I'm gonna go back to Jared's unmitigated freedom when it comes to the stories and role playing bits. Like I agree wholeheartedly. That is a great way to describe the positive sides of your no prep style. Now, on to the majority of you. What is your favorite positive from the prep style? What does it give you that makes it worth doing? In I'm not going to use the word excess, but I want to use the word excess. Starting with Miriam.
Fastidious.
Sure. Okay. All right. We'll go with that. Miriam, we're going to start with you.
For me, whenever I prep stuff out, then it's really nice, so then I can actually relax in the moment because I'm like, these things are taken care of. These main points are for sure good, and then it allows me that if I need to pivot at any point, my energy can go towards that as opposed to like, well, what if I forget about this, and what if but what about that? So yeah,
Okay.
that's pretty much it.
Okay. Nice. There's a quote that actually there's a lot of quotes. I'll get to quotes later. Never mind. Younger. What about you? What is your positive for prepping?
So might be a little bit different than a lot of other people's, but I like creating homebrew content, right? And I love seeing the idea that is in my head become a realized thing that I can look at and see a picture of, see all of the verbiage written down in it, have the stat blocks ready. So not only that I can enjoy it, but if somebody else wants to take that piece from the campaign or whatever that I dropped in, there's an actual piece of paper that has that information on it that they can have ready to slide into their tables and have fun. And if I ever hear about, like, oh man, I really love that thing, my players really enjoyed using it, incredible. That's one of my favorite parts.
I feel that on a spiritual level, it's great being able to take something and be like, here, use this for later. Um, Jared, what about you? I'm positive for
Well,
the preps.
the positives for the preparation style. Something I touched on a little earlier is it shows that you're putting forth effort. And when you're the person who's the central like focus, like in a tabletop RPG, you're the game master, dungeon master, whatever you want to call it. It shows that you've put forth the effort to create an experience for these people that's going to be a positive and fun one, an engaging one. And is like I said, if you rely too much on the no prep style, and if you're a little bit lazy with the no prep style, uh, you're just going to end up making everyone feel like, well, why are we even here? We could just eat snacks and BS for a while. And it's not just tabletop gaming. Preparation, like I'm a content creator, and knowing what I'm going to do ahead of time, having a plan is kind of crucial. Otherwise, I don't have any content to put out there. In case in point, that can also fail on you. Even the best plan can go down in smoke and flames. I started streaming this week, and my first stream was kind of an unmitigated disaster because I was hawking up a lung because the cold virus hates me personally.
That's fair. That's fair.
But even in that moment, I knew I had plans like this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm planning, I'm trying my best, and knowing that I stuck to the plan was enough for me to be like, I tried, and it's kind of like falling back on a safety net. So
Okay, that's fair. I like that. Dr. Jeff, what about you?
You're-
Where security, right?
Yeah, that's one thing. Yeah, just like going into what I say, security. You have that sense of security of what you're going to say. And also, too, if I'm about to do something and I should drop dead of a heart attack and I'm prepared and have notes, somebody else can pick it up and from where I left off and just go and do it, which is good. Not that I had a heart attack, that's not good.
It's good for the other people involved, not for you.
it's making
Yeah,
the best of a
yeah,
bad situation.
Mhm.
You know,
it's like one thing one thing is I'm out here in San Francisco area, and my football team is the 49ers. Back when the 49ers were like a powerhouse in the 80s or something, they had a rule that if a player got hurt, second string had to be totally prepared to perform just as good as the first string guy. That's how you ended up having the Joe Montana, Steve Young thing. Joe Montana, great quarterback, right? He got hurt. Steve Young had to go in. He didn't have the excuse. I'm the second green. He was expected to perform as if he was Joe Montana. The prep Montana did enabled Young to do that.
nice. Okay. So I mean, and on that point, kind of a silly side note. Sometimes prepping is the easiest way to know what I don't want to do. Right? Instead of planning what I'm trying to do, sometimes I can prep. Hey, I don't want to touch on this, or hey, I'm going to avoid this here and there. Right? It is the easiest way to know what the course of action I don't want to take, guys, and that still allows for that free flow and kind of places to go. But if we start getting on the thing that I don't want to touch on, I can veer off course because I know it's not where I want to end up. Right? Another thing with the prep side of stuff is it does give that security, right? But it can also give you control of what you are trying to do, right? When you have a scattered brain thought and you're just like, man, where am I trying to go? What am I trying to talk about? Having a small list that tells you where you kind of want to end up is really going to help you refocus what you're doing, refocus your players, all that fun stuff. Um, and then yeah, so we have a little bit of time left. So we're gonna go into final thoughts because we're almost at the hour mark here. Um, and kind of get your last lines, last quotes, all that fun stuff, right? I'm going to start with a quote before I let everyone else go. But one of the ones I heard today, which is probably my favorite I've heard in a while, is the past is a place to gain experience, not a place to live, right? The place for memories, not a place to live on. And I think with both the planning and the free flow, that fits in really well, right? You can sit in your little corner and have a plan, right? But once you can move past that point, you still have to act. You cannot, if the plan falters, you can't not move forward, right? Because if you do, that's where you stumble, that's where you fall, that's where you have a bad day, right? When you focus too hard on what you had planned, right? But that doesn't make the plan useless. So Final thoughts. We're gonna again start ladies first on this one. Wahaha. Miriam. Final thoughts.
I'm gonna give you a quote,
Oh, okay. I'll add
and
to the list.
I got it from a meat stick wrapper.
Okay.
And it says, "Wisdom is knowing what path to take. Integrity is taking it no matter how hard it is."
Okay, that's incredible for a meat stick. Like, what Slim
I
Jims are you
know.
eating
I
over
was
here?
not it's I think it's actually called meat stick, and I was not prepared to learn. I just was hungry for a salty meaty snack, and I got so much more. So
Was not prepared for the wisdom to be
I did not
this.
prep for that.
Dr. Jeff, jumping down to you. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts, just like it's called preparation, non-preparation. There's a story about Bill Gates when he was a teenager, and he and Paul Allen had designed this software system to control the traffic in Redmond, Washington, the traffic lights. Yeah, and I mean, his mother was on the city council, and he goes over and starts to present the presentation and stuff that he and Paul Allen worked on. And he goes and shuts on, turns on the stuff to do it, and it doesn't work. So he's there freaking out and stuff. He prepared, and then he just looks up to his mother and says, "Mom, tell them it worked before." Best laid plans of mice and men. Do what works. That's what I always think. But I do think some preparation is needed. You don't want to go into something totally cold.
Okay, that's fair. Jared, jumping over to you. Final thoughts.
Well, you know what? I'll just keep with the trend of quotes here. There is a character in comic books, because I'm going to go full nerd on this. There's a character in comic books, the Flash comic books specifically, by the name of Captain Cold. And it was one of his more recent incarnations in the live-action television show. He has a fantastic quote about trying to pull off a heist. Make the plan, execute the plan, expect the plan to go off the rails, throw away the plan. And here's what you can take away from that from where I see it. Even if you're not a big plan person, you should be practiced in making a plan. Because even if you don't stick to that plan, it engages the part of your brain that's problem solving, that's pushing forward. So whether you have the plan and you stick to it, or if you're going completely in a different direction, your brain's already engaged and ready to go. So, and it's all about finding that balance. What about the plan works? What about the plan doesn't work? And balance looks different on every day. So just try your best to hit that happy medium.
Nice. Younger, final thoughts.
I'm going to hit the most basic statement of this podcast, and that is, it is better to be prepared and not need it than need it and not be prepared. And that could be for any number of things. I'm quite short of a quote unquote prepper, but while I was in Hawaii, in my barracks room in the army, I had a ridiculous amount of canned food, and like well preserved items. I had well excess amount of like toilet paper and everything else, and then all of a sudden I got sick. The next day, COVID happens, and they're like, "Oh, you're locked in your room for like 3 weeks because we don't want you to go out." And it was like I didn't even have COVID. I was coughing up blood and other shit. But like the fact that I had all of this stuff already prepared, I could have stayed in my room for 6 months. Uh, never left if I really wanted to. But like it was like, oh shit, like all this stuff that I just randomly had because I just like to be prepared. There could have been a flood or any number of other things that could happen that these things would be useful for, right? People were like, oh my god, toilet paper shortage. And I was like, must really suck to not have 60 rolls in your closet for no reason.
That was a small fortune back then.
All right. You could have bought a whole house.
And still have plenty. So that's what I'd say. Just better be prepared and not have it than need it and not be prepared.
All right. Solid final quote. Speaking of final quotes and things, we gotta get who you are, where you're from, where people can find you one last time before we get out of here, and then we gotta talk about our 10% off code. So, Miriam, starting with you one more time. Who are you? Where can people find you? All that fun stuff, real quick.
Hi, I've been Mariam. I run Blessings Be Bazaar in Colorado Springs. You can find me at blessingsbebazaar.com. Bazaar is spelled Bzzaar.
Solid. Dr. Jeff.
Yeah, Dr. Jeff, Dr. Getting Focus. It's accelerated dynamic hyperdrive. I'm in San Jose, California, but I work all over the world. And my website is doctor, that's DR, getinfocus.com. In there you can go. I have a free consultation on there. So sign up for me. I'd love to chat with you. Just personally, see what I can do for you.
Fantastic. And Jared, where can people find you and your stuff?
Well, it's Couch Quest Gaming, both on twitch.tv and YouTube. I have content that comes out most of the week now on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I have pre-recorded videos coming out, which are now shifting over to the VODs from my live streams, which my live streams now go out on Wednesdays and Fridays. So most of the week you can catch me on either YouTube or Twitch.
Fantastic. And then for us,
as well on the Epic Sages live stream games.
See, I was about to plug it, but that's fine. You got it.
I beat you to it.
That's okay. You veerlinged me. Dang it. So with that being said, Younger, it's the last day of the month this month, right? Today.
Yes, don't do this to me. I'm not prepared.
Today's the 30th, tomorrow's the 1st, right? I'm not crazy.
No,
Okay,
it's the
good.
31st.
So Younger's gonna young.
Tomorrow's the 31st.
Oh, okay. So we
Yep.
got 2 days. Okay, well, it's close enough
You
to
got
the
one more day.
close enough to the end of the month that I'm gonna let Younger tell you our next month's code, because this month's code is still Happy 4th birthday. 4th being 4th. That'll get you 10% off of the website. Next month, though, starting in June, what's going to be the code there, Younger? What are we telling the wonderful people out there?
June 2025.
No, don't do you, the lamest code. The lamest code. How dare you?
Classic. Instant classic.
I'm gonna be salty all next month while we're saying that. But that's gonna be the code next month. Unless we have an argument before next session. But this month, Happy 4th birthday. Get you that 10% off on the website on most of our stuff. And then next month is June 2025. We should really goof it up and just be like June 2020, just to throw it out of there. But June 2025 as of now.
Why would any of us want to remember June 2020?
We can do bearfish.
Bearfish. I mean, that's
Bearfish.
different. I like that one at least. Bearfish. Okay, we're changing it now. So Bearfish is going to be June's thing. All one word, all capitalized. Bearfish. BEAR as in the creature, not as in a naked fish running around, because all fish are naked anyway, right? So thank you guys so much, and with adventure in mind, have a wonderful time. Before we go though, our guest here, I need you guys to both pick a number to figure out what song we're doing. Jared, I'm excluding you because you've heard all these songs 4 billion times.
9.
9. Oh, into the week, huh?
It could be 3. That's my day today, technically.
Numbers between 1 and 10.
Oh, 1 and 10. Pie.
Hi. Oh man, you both hitting that 3. Okay. All right. I heard the 3 from both of you. I'm gonna stick with 3. I like that one.
3 in both. Yep.
All right. Oh, nice. Neon Override. Here we go.
Chaos. turned the traffic. Drones went wild, city burned for just a while. They patched the breach, sealed the flame, but I've already changed again. I feel chaos bite by bite. They show up to make it right, but for every plan they break, I've got 10 more sets awake. Encrypted storm, synthetic plagues, warp the code in subtle ways. They keep fighting.